Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, always free and available on YouTube or anywhere you get them casts. And we're back for some bonus time to wrap up the week. It is a Matador Mob Mailbag edition of the program. You want to get a question in? Well, get into the Matador Mob, and you can do so by hitting the link there in the show notes or on our Twitter page at Locked On Tech. Try on a free 14-day trial. See how it suits you. It is your direct line to be texting Chris and I anytime on any subject. And appreciate all the questions that were submitted this week. If you are a Matador Mob insider, you may have even already got an answer to some of these questions as Chris was texting some of you back, I saw over the last couple of days. So appreciate, again, those mixing it up inside the Matador Mob. Chris, let's get busy. We will run through some of these in a scatter shooting, quick fire kind of variety. Get out the Gatling gun. We're going to begin with a question from Mike as we head into this ball game, Big 12 game number 2, ball game number 5, who asks this: barring any injuries, do y'all see another iteration of our starting offensive line with Sterling Porsche in on the left side at guard and Rogers back on the right side? And I guess I might even just add, Chris, whether Porsche is back on the left side at guard or wherever, what are the odds on some more shakeup as we continue to move forward?
Yeah, odds would be extremely high. I just don't know if you're there yet on figuring out exactly what goes where. I think injuries have certainly dictated some of that to this point. Vinny Scurry's loss, Porsche missing some time. I think, as you know, because if you listen to Joey and Coach Kitley from earlier this week, weren't super pleased with what they got. I think that they're not anybody called out specifically, but just we left a lot out there, and they didn't, I think didn't grade out very well, kind of thing. And I think you've got Porsche sitting there waiting in the wings. You've got a younger center or inexperienced center. You've got a new tackle in Dalton Merriman. We know Caleb Rogers is probably his best position is on the right side, which they have said, and it's probably at tackle. Although if you play him at right tackle, then I don't know what that does everything else. And so I think that he's been playing some guard, even some left guard. I mean, just there's a answer the question and to wrap it up. You're not. Don't put a nice little bow on this and go, okay, put it under the tree. We're good to go. No, we're just not there yet. You're still wrapping this present. So.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be just based on injury. I mean, you see the change regardless.
Ineffectiveness, all that stuff. I mean, and I tell you, one of my least favorite things that I've seen so far, and this is tricky about the way I answer this or say it, but I think you'll understand where I'm coming from. I didn't like it that when it was time to really get into the depth and put a second group out there, that there was 2 freshmen involved.
Yeah.
True freshmen.
Thought that was interesting.
Because there's a lot of guys that either dinged up or whatever from a class above them that just and it's time for these guys. Their time is now, man. It needs to happen. Let's go. So anyway, but yeah, we'll work in progress, man. It's going to be a thing until it's not, and I'm afraid it's going to be a thing all year. So we'll see.
That's what the Elvis song was about. It's now or never. He was talking about sophomore offensive linemen getting passed up by true freshmen, I believe. Big football fan, the king. This question, thank you, Mike, for that one. This question from Cody says, it feels like there's more season-ending knee injuries every year. Do you feel there's any validity to claims about turf increasing injuries? And here's an oldie and a goodie question for a Tech fan. Should Tech consider going back to good old dirty grass? Some of these really impactful, so they stand out, I think, even more than some others. Chris, do you think the numbers, are they actually higher? Is it just more noticeable to this fan or that fan? What do you think about the turf impact, the turf monster?
There may be some data out there that I have not seen. I think it's probably football is just, that's the one thing about it, man. We all love it. We all watch it. It's the best made-for-TV sporting event in existence, period. And as America would tell you, because they can't get enough of it at the college and pro level, check the numbers, check the money rolling in, all the above. But guys get hurt when they play it, period. And I don't know if there's some data that suggests that it's more happens recently or not. I don't know if I buy into the turf argument. I think that the NFL folks have certainly pushed that narrative and said, go back to natural grass. You guys can afford it, is kind of what the players have told the owners. You're not switching to natural grass. This is basically a brand new turf you're playing on. They switched it in the offseason, if memory serves. I mean, back in March, this is a brand new turf, I believe, field turf or whatever.
So you tore up about a third of it, so you.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, please mention the water table, Chris.
Either this is the first season or this is its second year. Either way, this is brand new, but you're not switching it out. And there's a major cost to having natural grass, the upkeep and all those things. So I don't know if you're seeing more injuries or not. I know what the NFL players have kind of pushed back on the owners, saying that there's some of that. I don't know if that's spilled into college or not, but it sucks. Guys get hurt, and I hate it. It's my least favorite part about this sport in general, but it's just part of it.
Please, you're not going to mention the water table. Please mention the water. That's why I like this as a tried and true every year Tech fan question. Let's go back to grass, which, by the way, would scratch me right where I itched. I would love to have lived in the era of grass at the Jones. And they always say, but the water table's too high. You dug down. It's going to be a swamp. It's going to be a bog. I don't know if anybody knows what they're talking about when they actually say it, but I like hearing about it.
And I don't know. All kidding aside, I think I'm probably going to be somewhat uninformed. I'd be curious to know, once they really got into wiping out a lot of what had been there for years and years and years and years and years, from plumbing to electrical to all kinds of things over there, when they had to really just start over. I wonder how much of they were able to correct or fix or update, because there's a lot of cost that got I was going to use the term sunk into the South End Zone project that you just generally don't even get to see or appreciate, because so much of it is underneath and what they had to do, underneath the ground and all that. So, but yeah, I do remember the water table. That's why that one practice field could never grow green grass. It was always dead because it's the water table. And to quote Costanza, it's all pipes.
They're all going the same way. All right. Thank you for the question. Appreciate that. I still remember when Tech's Field flooded that time back in the Leach era.
Yes.
And the Photoshop of the pirate ship with Mark Mangino as the Kraken taking it down. I mean, just quality. If you're still out there, whoever did that, it has not left me that memory. So
legendary.
Quality work. Thank you for that. And thank you for that question. Next question is from Nick, who asks, what's the difference in philosophy, especially this past offseason, in using the transfer portal offensively versus defensively? Goes on to say, obviously the receiving group needed a major upgrade, and they did that. Got arguably the best receiver on the market in Josh Kelly. Caleb Douglas is awesome. Did they not feel like they had a need defensively to really bring in dudes from the portal? He mentioned some of the injuries that were not obviously known at that time with guys like Spencer or a data ray, and also mentions that DeBraylon Carroll, arguably been one of your best defensive linemen, who was a portal addition. But what do you make in general of this previous offseason as they kind of broke down priorities and time they could spend portal-wise, offensively or defensively? First, today's episode brought to you by Robinhood Gold. And with Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks usually reserved for high society. Now the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth, and these generous benefits are now available for only $5 per month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. So sign up at robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rate may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. What do you make in general of this previous offseason as they kind of broke down priorities and time they could spend portal-wise, offensively or defensively?
This is tricky. You know, it's a tricky discussion to have because I think timing, there's things that, you know, obviously you don't know. You're projecting with young players on your roster. You also have to be careful about portal for fear of running some of those young players off. Like,
True.
okay, I go bring in some dude. Well, I'm not bringing him in to sit. And it's like the young guy's like, dude, it's my time now. And like, screw that, I'm out. You know, I mean, that's the game you're playing. But they, you know, James Hansen, to Braylon Carroll, I think, you know, you forget you had like Javion Wilcox, an addition from the portal defensively. Harrison Pilot, I think, was one of those other guys that came from Baylor, Houston, or whatever. He was a signee, and he had come over. So there's been some. I think what you do is you go through the season. So this is what they would have done last year. You figure out, okay, what's leaving. You figure out what you want to stay, and you have to have various conversations with your coordinator / position coaches and going, okay, in a perfect world, what do you feel like you need? And if we can go get it, what do you want us to go get? But now there's money involved. There's a budget, I would guess. There's, okay, we really want a guy that's just a plug and play, but we just want a 1-year guy. So we can tell so there's all kinds of, you know, moving parts, I guess, when you're trying to figure this thing out. And then here's the trickiest part. When the window opens, it's speed dating. You were like, okay, so we know we need this, and this. And so it's like, okay, portal opens now. Well, guess what? You may be the one of 25 people that they're hearing from. Okay, so how many targets do you need if you're looking for offensive line and defensive line, which is what you added? And as we saw, the competition is pretty stiff. You know, with the Braylon Carroll, I think he's worked out very well. But luckily, you had a prior relationship with him. He's a Texas kid. He's a Rice grad, but from Duncanville. And so there were some connections. Jalen Conyers, one of your best transfers. Luckily, connection there. So that's what you have to hope. That's why on these recruiting battles that maybe some of the ones that you haven't won, you keep that smile on your face and you tell the mom, good luck. I mean, I wish him well. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversations. The peach cobbler that you made for me when I went to y'all's house was phenomenal. Good luck. Keep my number, and you know, call me if needed. And sometimes those calls are like, "Hey, coach, I'll make you another peach cobbler." Well, you know what? It just so happens we have a need. I'm sorry it didn't work out. Where little Billy went, but we still like Billy, and Billy would fill a need for us right now. So there's just, I don't know if there's like a hard and fast answer to give you. There's too many moving parts there. And heck, man, and then with the settlement potentially, or some variance of that changes even more. Like are you about to have to get into, signing fewer guys because you're going to have to trim this roster? I mean, I don't know we're getting into just yet.
We just want him to be happy. We're just wanting him to be happy, which is what you tell a girl that you want back. Translates to, I just want her to be happy with me. Yeah. Otherwise, I hope she's miserable. All right. Thank you for the question, Nick. Did you ever do any speed dating back in the day, Chris?
No, but the scene from, I think it's 40-Year-Old Virgin was the movie. Of course. When just body parts are just popping out, and everything. And I get a kick out of it. It's extremely uncomfortable and awkward to watch, but it's hysterical. Google.
Who my favorite was? Gina. I had a soft spot for Gina. All right, here's the next question from Jarrett, who asks this: which underclassman is the next first round draft pick? He's setting the bar pretty high there. I want to give you a little more room to maneuver. So maybe just call it a draft pick in general. But who do you think could be a rising pro, whether it's the way they handle themselves, Monday through Friday, just pure unadulterated athleticism? Is there anybody that stands out to you, or is the picture a little muddled right now?
We are, again, these are all just guesses, because those are, if it's underclassmen, that's sophomore or below. So we still haven't seen the best of whoever we would offer up here. I'll tell you who I think they feel like, and so they're going to know better than me, because I could give you, but I think it may be Jacob Ponton.
Really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Not one I was expecting to hear about.
I think they feel like work ethic, measurables. He's already passed a variety of people as a true freshman.
Mm-hmm.
It's just he's missing some age and weight, but I think they feel like that there's a lot of things there that we can't necessarily give him, and he's got it, and he's going to get age and weight. And if he keeps the work ethic and stays healthy and all the stuff, I think he's got a chance. So that's one that may be off the radar a little bit, but again, one to be fairly excited about, because maybe his time is next year. I mean, you just don't know.
It's going to be really interesting after this season when you take a look at that group and you kind of consider how much young potential you've got there to build with. Some of that you're building with right now, but I know there are some cons that come with that. But there's also some pros as far as, and I don't mean it in a professional sense, but as far as the opportunity to sort of build from the ground up with some of those guys. Might as well get into this because it plays into that. Wasn't necessarily next on the rundown, but Eric asked this question: has paperwork already been filed for Vinny Scurry to get a medical red shirt? What's that process like? When does that timeline even happen? Because I know you've expressed that there's some desire there, but how does that actually work out?
I think in the process of, I don't know exactly how quickly that process happens. I don't think there'll be any, unless Vinny were to say, you know what, this isn't what I want to do anymore. If he wants to play ball next year, I think Texas Tech would love to have him back. And assuming the rehab goes well and all those things, I think that's just a simple rubber stamp now, because I would have told you back on the transfer portal question, I would have told you that before the season, as you kind of get into it, that after this year, at the minimum, you probably would have tried to go find a tackle and a guard in the portal. Now, do I know if you're trying to find a starter or depth piece? I don't know if I understand that yet. And are you a high-end starter or just, just a guy that can push to start? Whatever. So there's different levels of that. And now I think that, you can check guard off of that list. I don't think you need to go do that now because Vinny will be back.
Yeah, so maybe eventually a payoff there for what unfortunately has been a tough time to bear for him and for Tech's offensive line right now. All right, thank you for that question. Andrew asks this question as we get to a pair of big names that have been impacted by injury or at least being dinged up in the case of one. Andrew asks, what actually was wrong with Taj's arm? And we've had a lot of people kind of ask this out of, I guess, fear of this lingering or getting worse as the season goes along or something like that. So any insight that you can lend as to what the problem actually was? Because we didn't see cast, we didn't see sling, we didn't see brace, that kind of stuff. And obviously he was back after 1 week on the sideline.
He was in Pullman with a smile on his face. We have yet to see any sort of brace, wrap, nothing visible. And, no, what is it? Kinesiology tape or whatever that stuff is that looks like spider web that they there's nothing like that at all that we've seen. And so I'm left to think it's a soft tissue issue, like whether it's muscle or something involved there, but it's obviously was minor because he's back and appears no worse for the wear, and away you go. So, I think it's much easier if it's like his arm's in a sling or he's got some brace on his wrist or whatever. You're like, well, okay, now, but I mean, yeah, we never saw any of this.
And for those asking about that stymieing the game missed, his pursuit of Byron Hanspard's rushing record, he's got like 788 left to go, which would equal out to First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. And NFL fans, you can start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Say you're watching the game, you get hit with a hunch, an instinctual calling. Well, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you're going to place your bets to keep up with everything going down in real time as you submit that slip. And right now, FanDuel is going to get you started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's right, $200 in bonus bets guaranteed with only a $5 bet out the gate at FanDuel.com. His pursuit of Byron Hanspard's rushing record, he's got like 788 left to go, which would equal out to just a little less than 100 yards he would need through these final 8 games that we have remaining. I think 98.5. So not easy work, not trying to suggest that, but still certainly within that range. And I guess you throw in a bowl game too, would make it even a little bit more
I throw in the Big 12 title game too.
Let's go. A few playoff games, whatever we need.
Yeah.
I like where your head is at.
I don't know if it sets him back as much as I don't know if, maybe you chew up some of your margin for error there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to see him miss too many more of these, or,
Sure.
that it may just be too much to ask. But there's going to be one of these games where he's going to go for 185, 215 or something. He's going to just it's just going to happen. And that also, then that sets him up to where, okay, now he's increased his margin for error.
Yeah.
And if he can show up one day and somebody really shuts him down, he only goes for 70. Well, he's covered from that sense. So, but yeah, I think we'd all love to see that. But yeah, all those games count, whether it's league title game, bowl game, playoff games, national title game, whatever you got, they all count.
I'm tempted to just let you keep talking. You've already got Taj on the board for 200+ day. We were in the Big 12 championship game. I'm liking the sound of all of that. Another guy who has been in that type of category or that type of injury spotlight this week, obviously Josh Kelly. He's on the questionable list. Had a great day last time around against Arizona State. Joey McGuire led off the week saying, I would be surprised or shocked if he ain't ready to go. But Matador Mob insider Kent asks for any updates on Kelly's health. He says, guy's been a great player. We need him on Saturday. So as we get closer to the end of the week, Chris, how you feeling?
I mean, I'll just echo what Joey said early in the week when he was pressed on this. I just don't envision any scenario where he doesn't play. I mean, and you never know. There's things that happen in the middle of the week. Just
Sure.
The way it goes. As we talked about earlier, injuries happen in football, unfortunately. And whether contact or non-contact and all that, I don't think you have as much happen in the middle of the week during the seasons because you're not putting your top guys in harm's way and all those things. But, rare is it that something does happen in the middle of the week, but it does. But I would guess that Joey's like, hey, man, he walked through last night. It looked good. I mean, it's going to take a lot to keep him. I don't envision a scenario where he's not playing.
All right. Appreciate that question there. This one from Zach. Any Micah Hudson updates? He says, injury, still learning the ropes, or are the coaches being honest when they say they can't justify getting them on the field in lieu of Kelly, Douglas, or Aiken? I like that he allows for the opportunity for the coach just to be telling the truth too, because I guess that's a possibility also. What do you think, Chris? I know this is a question we're beaten to death this year, but obviously with a player like that, folks are very, very interested. So I understand it continuing to be asked.
And I do appreciate the interest. I think the one person that's not near as worried about it as much as everybody else is Micah.
Oh,
yeah, I know, which is tricky. He understands, I guess is my point. He understands why things are the way that they are and all that stuff. And nor is he complaining about it. I think there is no injury. I think that it is like B and C of the alternatives offered up there. I think that the sport is very difficult. The sport is hard. They maybe tried to give him and don't forget, he did not go through spring. His first cracks at this deal was, it's kind of like he's just like Jacoby Williams from the standpoint of like, you're just seeing him on a play or here or there where you see some flashes and some possibilities, but he's not ready to take the brunt of the reps and be like the guy yet.
Started in the fall, and that was after a procedure, right?
Yes, he did. Absolutely. Yes. So I think the sport is hard. They try to throw a lot at him and teach him multiple positions, and maybe if they had that to do over again, they wouldn't have done that. But I think they have a high standard on what they think he could be. And this is how they want to utilize this player, is like be able to move him around and all that. So that's why they changed or tried to train him at various spots, inside, outside, all that stuff. And then I think we really are seeing good play at the wideout spots.
Yes, no doubt about that.
He is backing up at some level Caleb Douglas right now. That's really the position that they've kind of tried to leave him at. So we'll see if there's more reps on the way, if somebody goes down and he fills in a void. I mean, you hate to, wish for that.
Definitely not.
It's okay, and I think he's even kind of gotten himself off of social media because of all whether it's a Tech fan or because Joey talked about this on his coach's show, like all these questions and all this stuff or self-criticism of like, hey guys, why are you not playing Micah Hudson from like Tech fans? It's Joey's like, this is stuff that other coaches will use against us or try to,
right.
It probably won't work in this case, but it's stuff that it's friendly fire, if you will. Yeah. Like he's fine. But then whoever starts showing him, look, dude, your own fans are wondering what the heck is going on. Then it's like, maybe I should be pissed. I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, he just happens to be backing up one of the best 2 or 3 individual guys on the entire team.
Yeah,
if we're talking about Josh Kelly, so be sure to consider it in that context. Let's see here. Time for a couple more. This one from Casey. I'm going to assume not me. I'm going to assume a much more intelligent, better looking Casey. Who says, recruiting question. Been a while since we've seen a commit. Any update on guys Tech really likes or key battles Tech is in that you're aware of right now? Anybody standing out to you on that front, Chris?
Yeah, I think the recruiting is pretty much slowed down because signing day is just a few months away. I also think that you're still trying to project what your roster size is going to be, and then you're factoring in, okay, how many spots will we want to utilize via the portal?
Gotcha,
so again, this is why there's a personnel department now, because there's a lot to manage and to figure out and all that. You're not only are you grading possible targets outside, you're looking at high school kids, but you're also looking at kids in your own building going, yeah, I mean, hold on to him, or man, he's got to go. I don't think he can do it here. So and there's a variety of people in that department, and they're looking at all things right now. But I think that's why so much of the recruiting is done in the summer. But when you get to this point, it really comes because, I think there's a lot still left to be determined with what this is going to look like, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. All right. Before we get out of here, it's, I guess, sort of connected to what we're talking about right there as far as the future and personnel management. This question from Matador Mob insider Ryan, who says he can't help but pay attention to the UNLV story that's been playing out this week so publicly. Has Texas Tech had anything even close to a player being disgruntled or commitments that have been unmet? How do they handle those commitments being offered in the first place? Please tell me we're writing it down. Which feels like a baseline request. What do you think, man? That's been a wild story this week.
Yeah. And then another player from UNLV kind of opts out, if you will. There was one from USC.
Yep.
Don't know what all was related other than what the QB was like, hey, they offered me this, they paid me this. And then the UNLV saying, we didn't offer you anything. You know, wink, wink, wink.
Right.
You know, I mean, there's so this is, and if something like that happened, then the player has every right to go, man, this is what I signed up for, whether I signed it or not, or whether you offered it or not, wink, wink. And if this isn't what you're coming through, like I'm not doing this anymore. You have every right to, you know, if we show up for work and we're promised a wage and the wage doesn't come through, it's like, okay, well, I mean, I'm not coming here for my health. I like you people. I like you people. You gave me a great desk and the chair's awesome. It's got lumbar support, the whole thing. But I need to kind of earn a living here. I think Joey went on national radio, and I'd be curious to know if that was already planned, if he or someone pushed for that, because I know that he has talked about this on his coach's show before. That is something they very, very strongly take pride in, is that when they are promising whoever, or there's an NIL deal that the Matador Club is involved with, whatever it may be, they will do exactly what they say they're going to do. And I don't think everybody else is out there, or so we're hearing. And I think UNLV is just an example that wasn't made public. But I think that there's been other schools where there's a lot of rumors, and I just don't think if, you know, maybe it's like let's just settle the case off to the side. Let's don't take this public. Like you don't want this to spill out into the open air, because then you're going to get hammered with it from other coaches. But I think that if Texas Tech or whatever situation they've got says, you come here, this is what you get, this is what we ask of you, blah, 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 non-football part, but all the other stuff, I think that's exactly what has happened. And I don't think they've had one player have any problem along those lines. And so I think they take a great deal of pride in that. And Joey said as much.
Hopefully that remains the case moving forward.
Yeah.
Chris, appreciate a little bonus time from you here today. Thanks so much to those Matador Mob insiders for submitting all those questions. We'll do it again next week. If you want to get your question in, all you got to do is get to mobbing with us. It's very, very easy. Matador Mob Insider is where it's at, your direct line to Chris and myself on any subject, anytime. Oh, wait, we had one more question that I forgot. This is from Lonnie in Cincinnati. No, I don't. We ran out of time. Maybe you and I'll just discuss. It looks like a picture, actually.
LONI. I love your hair, Miss Lonnie. I do.
God bless Burt Reynolds.
You're in a great era. Yeah, no doubt.
Hit the link in the show notes if you want to become a Matador Mob Insider. You can try on a free 14-day trial, and we'd love to have you in the group. Thanks to those who have saddled up and are ready to ride already. All right, Chris, thanks for the time as always, man. Enjoyed it. We'll see you for the next one.
Absolutely. Can't wait to do another one of these.
You got it. And make sure you're subscribed out there on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts so you never miss an episode. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the ball game. We'll reconvene on the other side, and hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.